little bit more space, punch it. Squat it a little bit. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be reviewing a modified 2021 Ford Bronco Outer Banks. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Ed Kenley Ford here in Utah for giving me some time with this Ford Bronco Outer Banks. Check out their inventory in the description down below. Let's get right into the video. So before we get into the modifications, you got to know what is powering this Bronco to see if it's got enough pep in its step to be able to move the massive tires that this one has. So it has the turbocharged 2.7 liter V6, goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 330 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque. And is that a Shelby F-150? But anyways, that's under the hood. Now, I've actually already reviewed this Bronco. This was the first Bronco that I reviewed. I don't know if you guys remember. This is the Outer Banks that had the 35s thrown on it without any lift or leveling kit, and the tires were very tucked. But now this has some extra modifications, so you guys can see it looks a whole lot better. First off, we've got the winch here on the front end. It's a Warn winch. Adds practicality, and let me tell you, it makes this thing look so cool. It's got that cool off-roader slash overlander look, and yeah, I think it's just fantastic. One thing to note, this does have parking sensors from the factory, and you can see you've got a couple parking sensors behind the winch. Now, obviously, they're going to be beeping a ton because they think that there's something obstructing them, and so just be aware of that. It's a pretty easy fix though, just turn off the parking sensors. I'm sure there's going to be aftermarket support in the near future to get around that, to like remove the parking sensors or something like that. But you know, worst case scenario, again, you just don't do anything. Throw the winch on and you turn off your parking sensors. Not a big deal. Now, also notice that this has the lights added here to the top. They've got the caps over them, which is great because this is a pretty high traffic area for rocks and stuff. Obviously, you guys know because, well, cracked windshields are definitely a thing, especially here in Utah. And so having the caps to protect the lights is great so they don't get cracked. And then you can just take the caps off when you want to use them. And yeah, I think they look fantastic. Now, we've got 35s. And they are wrapped around 18-inch wheels. You guys can see they're fuel wheels. I think those look great. The 35s are super aggressive. And this has a 2-inch lift, so you don't have a ton of tuck like we had before. And yeah, this just looks great. The stance on this is just absolute perfection. And most of this video is actually going to be driving the Bronco, so you guys are going to be able to hear and see how it actually drives the 35s versus the Sasquatch. And on top of that, right, should you just do something like this and lift it, or should you wait for a Sasquatch package? We'll be able to answer all of that in today's video. But popping here, you guys can see there with the shock in the rear. And then the next cool modification is here in the back. We've got this little lockbox thing, so you got to press the keyhole in, and obviously you can lock it. And it's kind of like a toolbox here for the back. Obviously, this is great if you're into off-roading, so you can have everything like compartmentalized so that if you get stuck or, you know, have to do something, maybe, you know, this one's a soft top, so it's a little bit different, but maybe you have a hard top Bronco and, you know, you wanted to put all your tools there so you can take the top off whenever you want. I don't know, pretty cool modification and really easy to use. Locks in nicely. And so that is that. And now popping here to the interior, we have the next thing. So you guys remember, this one has a really cool interior with the black and with the brown. So first off, the lights there at the front, it's actually with this little switch right here. They didn't tie it into the auxiliary switches, so that's added there. And then also thing I always thought was cool about this Outer Banks is how it's got like the random streak of blue. Now, the next thing that I have to mention, we're gonna start her up, is we also have a lockbox in here. And then this does have an upgraded sound system. Obviously, I can't show that for copyright reasons, but it does have an upgraded sound system. Now, the next thing that is hilarious is with the camera. So we pop into reverse. Looks pretty normal, except you see that. But if we go from that and press the camera button, you guys can see the winch does get in the way a little bit of the camera view, which is hilarious. But I mean, again, it's expected because it's right in front of the camera. But I thought I'd show that to you because I thought it was funny. And apparently, I'm not very good at closing hoods because I didn't close the hood. So I guess I'll have to fix that. But yeah, that's everything for the short walk around portion. And I guess that I will give you guys one more view here of the Bronco before we take it out and drive it. But yeah, also if you own a Bronco, especially if you live in Utah and you want to have some of this stuff done to it, then you can reach out to Ed Kenley Ford and they'd be more than happy to do that for you. And I mean, this is their demo Bronco, so you could also drive this before you do these modifications to your Bronco, so you can make sure that that's what you like, and then they can help you out with all of that. And yeah, let's take it out and drive it. A better thing, as soon as you turn the Bronco on, it just went away. It gave me a warning. It like beeped a bunch, and then it said sensor not available, sensor blocked. So you don't have to do anything, and it'll automatically turn off the rear sensor for, or sorry, the front sensor for you, but it'll keep on the rear sensor. So that is definitely a cool thing. But let's actually set off here in this Bronco with the 35s. Forgot how peppy that 2.7 is. Yep, it can move the tires, unlike a Wrangler, just saying. Well, I mean, unless it's like a Rubicon 392 or a 4xe, but there's not that many of those, and there's lots of these 2.7s, so it is what it is. Anyways, actually driving this around, it actually drives really smooth. I would say that it's actually smoother than a Sasquatch on-road. Obviously, I won't be able to make any comments about off-road stuff because, well, we're not taking this off-road, but on-road, yeah, it feels smoother than a Sasquatch. So I guess that's the benefit of taking a Bronco that is not a Sasquatch, that doesn't have the Bilstein position sensitive shocks, and lifting it and throwing 35s on it, is you still get that really cool look, but you actually get a little bit better ride compliance on road. Kind of surprising. I didn't expect it to be that way. Now, since this is an Outer Banks, it probably has a sport mode. Yeah, we do have a sport mode. Okay, we're going to create some space. A little bit more space. Punch it. Squat it a little bit. Yeah, that's good from an acceleration perspective. That is more than enough. Definitely has some pep in its step, unlike what you get with a Jeep Wrangler. Yeah, I mean, if I had a Wrangler with a V6 right now, or the 2.0, I'd be like, we can get up to we can get up to 60 eventually. Whereas, yeah, this gets up at a pretty decent pace. Soft top is a little bit on the louder side on the highway. That's expected. Any soft top vehicle is going to be like that. If you want less noise, get the hard top with the Bronco. Handling with this is great too. I don't really notice any handling issues though, despite the winch in the front end, right? I know that's some extra weights just like literally slung over the front, and so you might think that it might kind of change things a little bit, but it doesn't. The one thing I will say though is when I'm pulling up like behind people, I definitely am very aware that, you know, the front end is extended out a little bit, so you kind of don't want to get super close. Okay, so now the parking sensors are freaking out again. So this will show you guys what happens. So literally all I have to do is just press the parking sensor button, and now the parking sensors are completely turned off, so we don't have to worry about them anymore. This thing's so quick. It's actually pretty fun to drive, to be honest. See how the turn-in is? Yeah, handling's great. Wow. Yeah, this actually does a really good job. We're gonna race this cargo van, guys. Oh wait, no, never mind. We're racing the GMC Yukon. Okay, we're gonna beat this. But yeah, let's start getting into summing things up here at this Outer Banks. So first off, exterior wise, this thing looks absolutely killer. It is such a good looking vehicle. Haha, Yukon, we win. Anyways, yeah, looks amazing with the lift, with the 35s, with the fuel wheels and the winch. Just looks like a cool off-road rig. And then interior wise, they didn't really change all that much. Obviously got the lock boxes and the upgraded sound system. All of that is definitely nice, so that is a positive. And you know, just add some practicality to it. And then if you guys are wondering, I didn't really show it too well, but there's a full-size spare there on the back as well, which this funny enough didn't have initially, but obviously now it does, so that is great. And then from a driving perspective, it's smoother than a Sasquatch. Definitely feels smoother on road than a Sasquatch. Again, off-road, I can't comment on that, but my guess is that with those Bilstein position sensitive shocks, the Sasquatch is going to absorb things a little bit better than this with the suspension this has with the lift and everything. That being said, how many of you are actually going to take your Broncos off-road? How many of you are buying this because you want something that looks really cool and has that off-roader type look, but you're not actually going to use that off-road capability? You got to, you know, be honest with yourself and ask yourself that. And if you're going to just, you know, mall crawl with this, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's your vehicle. Do whatever the heck you want with it. But if you're going to mall crawl with this, I would get a Bronco with this suspension, and then I would do the lift, and I would do the tires just like what Ed Kenley Ford has done here, because it looks just as good as the Sasquatch, has just as much road presence. It's going to be less money than what you're going to have to pay for a Sasquatch Bronco, right? And it'll be easier to get, because there's been all sorts of availability issues with getting the Sasquatch Broncos. And so yeah, I think this is the route to go. And so even, you know, the Outer Banks is really nice interior-wise. You don't even have to do this. Do like a base model Bronco, lift, tires, wheels, and it'll look great, and it rides better on road. And so, yeah, I see this as just like a huge positive overall. And so, yeah, I think Ed Kenley Ford killed it with this build. And this is what I would do if I was building a mall crawler. And you could still do some off-roading, right? This still has the rear locker, still has the trailer turn assist. So like this can still do some off-roading. So I'm not trying to like discount this as an off-road vehicle. Just hopefully understand what I'm getting at, guys. Now let's get some things up for a video on this 2021 Ford Bronco Outer Banks. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Ed Kenley Ford for giving me some time with the Bronco. Check out their inventory link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.